It was a warm afternoon in a quiet town in the southern part of the country. The sun was starting to dip lower in the sky, painting everything with a golden glow. The roads were mostly empty, just a few cars here and there. Birds were singing, softly, and the wind moved gently through the trees. Everything felt calm. Marcus was driving home after a long day at work. He worked at a small mechanic shop just outside town. His hands were still stained with grease, and his shirt smelled, faintly, of engine oil. He was tired and looking forward to a quiet evening. Maybe he'd sit on the porch, sip sweet tea, and watch the sunset. That was his favorite way to relax after a long shift. As he drove down a winding country road, something caught his eye. Up ahead, near the side of the road, there was a car pulled over. The hood wasn't up, so it didn't look like engine trouble. But standing next to the car was a woman. She was pacing slowly, one hand on her lower back, and the other holding her phone in the air, trying to get a signal. She looked worried. From the way she moved, Marcus could tell she was pregnant. Her belly was round and heavy, and she seemed uncomfortable, maybe even in pain. Marcus slowed down as he passed the car. For a moment he thought about just driving on. It wasn't because he didn't care. He always tried to help people when he could, but it had been a long day. He was sweaty, sore, and his stomach was already rumbling. Besides, some people didn't always accept help easily, especially from a stranger. But as he looked in his rearview mirror and saw the woman struggling to kneel down near the tire, something tugged at his heart. She looked so helpless. He sighed, turned on his blinker, and pulled his old pickup truck to the side of the road. He grabbed a rag from the seat beside him, wiped his hands quickly, and stepped out. "Ma'am, do you need some help?" he asked, in a calm, gentle voice. The woman looked up quickly, surprised. She took a small step back at first, her eyes scanning him cautiously. Marcus understood that look. He had seen it before. A black man pulling up beside a white woman alone on a quiet road. It was a situation people often misunderstood. But he stayed still, kept his voice soft, and gave her a kind smile. She hesitated. Yeah, I think I've got a flat tire. I tried calling for help, but there's no signal out here." Marcus nodded, walking slowly toward the car. "It's all right. I'm a mechanic. Let me take a look for you." The woman still looked unsure, but finally nodded. "Okay, thank you. I'm Emily, by the way." "Nice to meet you, Emily. I'm Marcus." He knelt down beside the tire and quickly confirmed what she already knew. It was flat. He glanced at her trunk. "You got a spare?" "I think so. I haven't had to use it before," she replied. "No worries. I'll check." As he opened the trunk and found the spare and tools, Emily stood nearby, watching him. She looked tired and nervous. Her hands rested on her belly, and Marcus noticed her breathing was a bit fast. He decided to talk while he worked, hoping to help her feel more comfortable. "How far along are you?" he asked casually as he loosened the bolts on the flat tire. 7.5 months, she said. "I'm on my way to visit my mom. She lives about an hour away. I haven't seen her in months." Marcus smiled. "Must be nice to have family nearby." She nodded. "Yeah, it is. My husband's deployed overseas, so it's just me for now." There was a pause. Emily looked at him and said quietly, "Thanks again for stopping." "Most people just drove past." Marcus shrugged. "It's nothing. I wouldn't want my sister or mom stuck out here alone, just doing what I'd hope someone else would do for them." As he worked, Emily began to relax a little. She even chuckled when Marcus grunted while tightening the bolts. "You all right?" she asked. "I'm good. Just old bones creaking," he joked, and she laughed softly. 15 minutes later, the tire was changed, and Marcus stood up, brushing dirt off his jeans. "All done. You're good to go." Emily looked at the car, then at him. "Thank you. Seriously, I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't stopped." "It's no problem," he said. "Just take it easy on the way. Don't speed. That spare's not meant for long distances." Emily opened her purse and pulled out a few folded bills. "Please, take this. At least let me buy you dinner." Marcus raised his hands and shook his head. "Nah, keep your money. Just be safe, all right?" She looked like she might insist, but something in Marcus's honest expression made her stop. She put the money away slowly. Then she reached into her purse, again this time pulling out a small notebook. "Can I have your name again?" she asked. "I'd like to remember it." He smiled. "Marcus Johnson." She wrote it down. "Thank you, Marcus Johnson." They shook hands. Hers was small and soft, his strong and rough from years of working with tools. There was a quiet moment between them. Something had changed, not just a tire, but maybe something inside both of them. A small shift in understanding. Emily got into her car and started the engine. Marcus stepped back and gave her a wave as she drove off. She waved back, her eyes shining a little. He stood there for a moment, watching the dust rise behind her car as it disappeared down the road. Then he turned back to his truck, climbed in, and started the engine. As he drove home, he felt strangely lighter. He had helped someone who needed it. That was enough. He didn't expect thanks or rewards. Just the thought that Emily and her baby would be all right. That made his day worth it. What he didn't know was that this small act of kindness was about to change his life forever. Something surprising, powerful, and heartwarming was already beginning to unfold. Something that would soon touch not just his life, but the lives of thousands of people. But for now, Marcus was just a tired man driving home after work. The wind, blowing through the open window, the sound of crickets rising in the air, and a quiet sense of peace filling his heart. A few days after that quiet afternoon on the side of the road, Marcus was going about his usual routine. He had just finished breakfast and was getting ready to leave for work when there was a firm knock on his apartment door. It was early in the morning, the kind of knock that makes you stop and wonder who could be outside so early. Marcus looked through the peephole and saw two police officers standing there in their uniforms. His heart skipped a beat. He didn't do anything wrong, so why were the police here? He opened the door with a polite but cautious smile. "Good morning, sir," one of the officers said. "Are you Marcus Johnson?" "Yes, that's me," Marcus replied, still curious and a little nervous. "We're here to ask you a few questions about an incident that happened a few days ago," the other officer said. Marcus invited them inside and gestured for them to have a seat in his small living room. The officers explained that they were investigating a missing person case. A woman named Emily, the same woman Marcus had helped on the side of the road. She had disappeared shortly after the day he helped change her tire. The officers wanted to know if Marcus had noticed anything unusual during the time he spent with her. Marcus listened carefully, his mind racing. He remembered Emily's nervousness, her grateful smile, and how she had thanked him before driving away. He had not seen anything strange or dangerous during those moments. He told the officers everything honestly, from the first time he saw her pacing by her car, to how they talked briefly about her pregnancy and her trip to visit her mother. The officers took notes, asking specific questions about what time it had been, what she looked like, and whether anyone else had been around. Marcus answered everything clearly, even though the questions made him anxious. He hoped they would soon find Emily safe. As the interview ended, one officer gave Marcus a serious, "Look, thank you for your help. If we need to speak to you again, we will contact you." Marcus nodded and walked the officers to the door. As soon as they left, he sat down heavily on his couch. His mind was spinning. Emily was missing. How could that be? He had seen her safe, driving away just minutes after he finished changing the tire. Over the next few days, Marcus tried to stay calm, but the worry didn't leave him. He thought about Emily constantly. Was she okay? Had something happened on the road? Or maybe at her mother's house? He replayed every moment they shared, looking for clues. Meanwhile, the town was buzzing with news about the missing pregnant woman. People were talking in stores, churches, and schools. Some said she might have been taken by someone she knew. Others whispered about strangers or bad luck. The story spread quickly, but no one had seen Emily since that day. Marcus noticed people started looking at him differently too. Some neighbors seemed to avoid eye contact. A few asked questions that made him feel uncomfortable, like why he had stopped to help, or if he knew more than he was saying. Marcus didn't understand. He had done what anyone decent would do. He helped someone in need. Why was that suddenly suspicious? One afternoon, Marcus was working at the mechanic shop when a customer asked about the missing woman. The man's voice was low and filled with doubt. "You sure you didn't have anything to do with it? Seems odd you just happened to be there." Marcus clenched his jaw but kept calm. "No, sir, I just helped her change a tire. That's all." Despite his words, Marcus felt a sting of sadness. He had always believed in kindness, but now it seemed his good deed might bring trouble instead. He wondered if people's fears and assumptions about race and strangers were causing problems that didn't need to be there. One evening, Marcus sat alone on his porch, the night quiet except for the occasional sound of a passing car. He thought about Emily's smile, her voice, and the hope she had shown even when she was scared. He prayed she was safe somewhere, waiting to be found. Just as he was about to go inside, his phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. It was a photo of Emily smiling, holding a small notebook, the same one Marcus remembered her writing in. The message said, "Thank you, Marcus. You helped me more than you know." Marcus stared at the screen in disbelief. Who had sent this? Was Emily okay? The message gave him a sudden burst of hope that maybe this story wasn't over. Maybe somehow things were about to change in a way he never expected. The days ahead would bring surprises, some difficult, some joyful, but Marcus was ready to face them. After all, he had helped a stranger out of kindness, and now that small act was becoming a much bigger story than he could have ever imagined. The days after Marcus received that mysterious message were filled with both hope and confusion. He kept thinking about Emily and the words she had sent. He didn't know where she was or who had sent the message, but it made him feel like she was safe somewhere. Still, he had many questions swirling in his mind. Was she okay? Was she still in trouble? Why had she disappeared in the first place? Marcus's phone kept ringing and buzzing with calls and messages, many from people he didn't know. News of his kindness toward the pregnant woman had started spreading across social media. It began with a simple post on Facebook by a woman named Emily who wrote about the man who had stopped to help her when she needed it most. She told the story of how she was stranded with a flat tire, tired and scared, and how Marcus had shown kindness when others had driven by without stopping. Her post quickly caught people's attention. Many shared it, adding their own thoughts about kindness, trust, and breaking down barriers between people. Some talked about how they, too, had judged someone unfairly before, and how this story made them think differently. Others expressed admiration for Marcus, praising him as a role model in a world that sometimes seemed full of fear and division. Marcus watched all of this with a mix of surprise and disbelief. He had never expected that something he did without thinking would touch so many people. The kindness he showed that day was something he believed everyone should do, help others when they are in need. But seeing the reaction online was overwhelming. Then, one afternoon, Marcus's phone rang. It was a reporter from a local news station. She wanted to interview him about the story. Marcus was hesitant at first. He was a private man, used to working with his hands rather than being in front of cameras. But he realized this could be a chance to tell his side of the story, and maybe help others understand that kindness could come from anyone. The interview went well. Marcus spoke simply and honestly about that afternoon by the road, about why he stopped, and how helping Emily had changed something inside him. He talked about how people's fears sometimes stop them from helping, and how important it was to look beyond appearances. After the interview aired, Marcus began to hear from people all over the town, and even from other states. Invitations came for him to speak at schools, churches, and community groups. Some wanted to learn more about his life, his work, and his thoughts on kindness and racial understanding. Marcus accepted these invitations quietly, seeing them as a way to give back. Meanwhile, Emily's post continued to grow. In her words, she explained how scared she had been at first. She admitted she had felt fear when Marcus's truck pulled up beside her because of the stories she had heard and the prejudices she carried. But Marcus's gentle voice and respectful actions made her see things differently. She wrote about how his kindness had changed her heart and how she wished she could thank him in person again. Emily also shared that she had been dealing with difficult times, feeling alone and worried about her baby. Marcus's help had been more than just fixing a tire. It had been a moment of human connection and hope. One day, a local newspaper printed a photo of Marcus alongside Emily's story. The photo showed Marcus smiling, his face warm and open. It was a proud moment for Marcus, though he remained humble, insisting that anyone else in his place would have done the same. The story didn't stop there. It caught the attention of social media influencers and online communities. Soon, Marcus's name and story were being shared far beyond his small town. People sent messages of support and thanks, telling Marcus that his kindness inspired them to be better. With the growing attention came some challenges, too. Marcus had to deal with questions about his life that felt personal. Some people asked why he hadn't been more careful, or why he had stopped for a stranger. A few voices were skeptical, questioning if the story was true or if Marcus's actions were really as simple as they seemed. But Marcus stayed grounded. He remembered the woman on the side of the road, how scared she was, and how small kindness had made a big difference. That was all that mattered. One afternoon, Marcus received a message from Emily herself. She asked if they could meet again. They arranged to meet at a local park, a quiet place where they could talk openly. When they met, Emily looked tired but happy. She hugged Marcus, thanking him again for everything. She explained that after the day Marcus helped her, she had been through some difficult times but was now safe and ready to move forward. Emily told Marcus she wanted to share her story openly, to help others understand how important it was to look beyond fear and judgment. Marcus felt proud and grateful. He realized that their chance meeting had started something powerful. As they talked, people nearby noticed them. Some came over, curious to hear their story. Marcus and Emily spoke openly, sharing their experiences and hopes for the future. This meeting became the start of a friendship and a partnership to spread kindness and understanding. Together, they began organizing community events that brought people from different backgrounds together. They spoke at schools about the dangers of prejudice and the power of helping others. Marcus's life had changed in ways he never expected. A simple act of kindness had opened a door to a larger mission: to build bridges, to heal divides, and to inspire others to see each other as human beings first. And so, what started as a chance encounter on the side of a quiet road became a movement. Marcus and Emily's story reminded people everywhere that sometimes one small act can shine a light in the darkest places and change hearts forever. After Marcus and Emily's meeting at the park, things began to change even more, not just for them, but for many others around them. The friendship they built was special. Both of them knew how important it was to share their story and help break down walls that fear and misunderstanding had created between people. They believed that if they could spread kindness and trust, their community could become stronger and more connected. Emily, who was now a few weeks closer to giving birth, felt a new sense of hope. She talked openly about her fears, her struggles, as a pregnant woman alone with a husband deployed overseas, and how meeting Marcus had reminded her that she was not alone. Marcus listened carefully, always ready to support her with whatever she needed. His kindness went beyond fixing a tire. It became a promise to stand by her through difficult times. Together, they started planning events in their town. They wanted to bring people from different backgrounds and experiences together to talk, listen, and learn from each other. The idea was simple. When people get to know each other, they stop seeing strangers and start seeing neighbors and friends. Marcus and Emily called these gatherings the Circle of Kindness. The first event was held in a small community center. Word spread quickly, and many people came, curious about Marcus and Emily's story. Some came because they had heard about the missing woman and the man who helped her. Others came because they wanted to be part of something positive in their town. The room was filled with people of all ages and races, some sitting quietly while others chatted nervously with strangers. Marcus stood in front of the group and spoke about what had happened that day on the roadside. He talked about the importance of kindness, even when it feels difficult or when fear tries to stop us. Emily shared her story too, the fear she felt, the judgment she faced, and the comfort she found in Marcus's help. Her honesty touched many hearts. People began to open up, sharing their own experiences with fear, prejudice, and kindness. Some admitted to judging others based on appearances or rumors. Others spoke of times they had been helped by strangers. As the evening went on, the room changed. People who had been strangers became friends. Walls of suspicion began to crumble as stories were shared and understanding grew. The power of kindness was clear. Marcus and Emily were surprised and happy to see the impact their story was having. The community wanted more events like this. Soon they were organizing regular meetings, inviting guest speakers, and creating activities for children and families. Their message spread beyond the town through social media, inspiring other communities to start their own circles of kindness. Meanwhile, Emily's due date was approaching. Marcus stayed close, ready to support her however he could. When the day finally came, Marcus was at the hospital waiting room pacing nervously. He had never been to a hospital birth before, but he felt a deep responsibility to be there for Emily. Hours passed, and finally Emily's doctor came out with a big smile. "It's a healthy baby boy," she announced. "Both mom and baby are doing well." Marcus felt tears in his eyes. He had never held a baby before, but when Emily's son was brought to him, he cradled the tiny life gently. It was a moment full of hope and promise. The birth made news again. The community celebrated, not just a new life, but the strength and kindness that had brought so many people together. Marcus and Emily's story had become a symbol of hope in a world that often seemed divided. With the baby's arrival, Marcus and Emily worked even harder on their mission. They started a small foundation to help mothers like Emily, women who needed support during pregnancy and beyond. They raised funds to provide medical care, baby supplies, and emotional support to women who were struggling. The foundation also offered classes on parenting, financial planning, and building healthy relationships. Marcus and Emily believed that helping others gave people strength, and that kindness could create a ripple effect that touched many lives. At the same time, Marcus continued working at the mechanic shop. He never forgot where he came from and the simple act that started everything, a moment of kindness on the side of a road. His life was busier now, but he felt more fulfilled than ever. The town began to change too. People who once avoided each other started greeting one another with smiles. Differences were no longer reasons for fear, but chances to learn and grow. Schools included lessons about kindness and respect, and local leaders praised Marcus and Emily for their work. Of course, not everything was perfect. There were still challenges. Some people resisted change or held on to old fears. Marcus and Emily faced criticism and misunderstandings, but they didn't give up. They knew change took time, and every small step forward was worth it. One afternoon, Marcus sat outside the mechanic shop watching the sun set over the town. Emily and their son played nearby in the park, laughter filling the air. Marcus felt a deep sense of peace. He thought back to that day on the road when he had stopped to help a stranger. He never imagined that moment would lead to so much: friendship, community, and hope. Marcus realized that kindness wasn't just about fixing a tire or helping someone in need. It was about seeing people as people, beyond fear, beyond judgment, beyond differences. It was about believing that every small act could change the world in big ways. And so, the story of a kind man, a brave woman, and a small baby became a story of a town healing, growing, and coming together, reminding everyone that even in hard times, kindness can light the way. After the birth of Emily's baby, life took on a new rhythm for Marcus and Emily. Their bond had grown stronger, not just because of the kindness Marcus showed that day, but because they had come together to build something bigger. A community where kindness, understanding, and support could grow. They both knew this was just the beginning of a long journey. Marcus had always been a humble man, working hard at the mechanic shop and living a simple life. But now, his life was filled with new responsibilities and hopes. The foundation they started was growing steadily. It was a small organization at first, run mostly by Marcus, Emily, and a few dedicated volunteers. They worked tirelessly to reach out to other pregnant women and families in need, offering more than just financial help. They offered friendship, advice, and a safe space. Many women came to their foundation seeking support. Some were young, scared, and unsure about the future. Others were older but alone, struggling to find the help they needed. Marcus and Emily made sure no one felt judged or ignored. They welcomed everyone with open arms. Emily, especially, was a shining example of strength. She shared her story honestly, encouraging others to be brave and ask for help when needed. The community began to notice the positive changes. Schools invited Marcus and Emily to speak to students about kindness and empathy. Local businesses donated supplies and funds. People who had once been strangers now worked side by side to make the foundation successful. At the same time, Marcus continued working in the mechanic shop. He used the shop as a place to teach young people skills and give them a chance to learn and grow. He believed in giving back, helping others find their path just like he had helped Emily on that lonely roadside. One of the most special moments came when the foundation hosted its first big event, a day of celebration for mothers and families. The event was held in the town park, with music, food, and activities for children. Marcus and Emily watched happily as families laughed, shared stories, and enjoyed the day together. During the event, Emily spoke to the crowd. She told her story once again, the fear she felt when she was stranded, the kindness Marcus showed, and how that moment had changed her life. Her voice was strong and clear, full of hope. Marcus stood beside her, proud and thankful. He knew that small act of kindness had created a ripple effect that touched many lives. People clapped, some wiped tears from their eyes. It was a powerful reminder that one good deed could inspire a whole community. Despite the joy, Marcus and Emily never forgot the struggles they faced. They continued to face challenges, times when funds were low, when people doubted their mission, or when fear and prejudice still lingered. But each challenge made them more determined. They knew that change took time, and every small victory was important. Marcus often thought about how much his life had changed. From a quiet man helping a stranger on the side of the road, he had become a leader and a symbol of hope. But he stayed humble, always remembering that kindness was simple. It was about seeing others with open hearts. Emily's baby grew quickly, filling their lives with joy and purpose. Marcus was like a father figure to the child, and Emily's gratitude deepened every day. Together they built a family made not only of blood, but of trust and love. Their story reached far beyond their town. News outlets, social media, and even national organizations recognized their work. Marcus and Emily were invited to share their experiences in other communities, hoping to inspire kindness everywhere. But what mattered most to them was the small town where it all began. the place where a simple act of kindness started a movement. 1. Evening, as Marcus and Emily walked through the park with their child, they talked about the future. They dreamed of expanding the foundation, helping more people, and creating a world where no one felt alone or afraid. Marcus smiled and said, "It all started with a flat tire." Emily laughed softly and replied, "And a kind man who stopped." They knew the road ahead might still have bumps and challenges, but together they could face anything. Their story was a reminder that kindness could change lives, build communities, and heal hearts. It was proof that even in the toughest times, one small act of goodness could shine a light bright enough to guide many. And so Marcus, Emily, and their little family continued their journey, stronger, kinder, and ready to face the future with hope.